Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm doing my review of AEW's Dynamite. Starting off the evening, we have a Jon Moxley segment. Moxley comes down to the ring wearing the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He ended up getting that title by beating Naito over this past weekend. He comes down to the ring. Moxley mocks the Don Callis family. He also talks about the fact that Don Callis family ended up trying to attack, or did attack, Bryan Danielson. Moxley then calls out Don Callis' family as well as issuing a challenge to Powerhouse Hobbs. So definitely looking forward to that matchup between Jon Moxley and Powerhouse Hobbs. Moving on from that, we have a Mercedes Moné backstage segment. Mercedes is pretty much looking to challenge Julia Hart for the TBS Championship, and she's also looking for the person that attacked her backstage recently. She's trying to figure out who was the person that attacked her backstage. In my opinion, I have a couple ideas of who I think it might have been that attacked Mercedes Moné, but I don't think it's actually Julia Hart. Moving on from that, we go into our first official match of the night. It is Willow Nightingale teaming up with Adam Copeland versus Julia Hart and Brody King. Before the match even gets started, Willow is shown on the Titantron being attacked backstage. Lights go out. Brody King appears with the lights turned back on, and he attacks Copeland. The match itself was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Brody keeping the pace of the match. Copeland and Brody both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Copeland hitting an impaler on Brody King. Adam then hits a neck breaker off the top rope on Brody King. Adam then goes for a spear on Brody, but Brody counters it with a clothesline. Willow comes down to the ring. Willow then hits a crossbody on Brody. Adam then hits a spear on Brody as well, but Julia Hart ends up hitting Willow Nightingale with a chain, which allows her to apply Heartless on Willow Nightingale. And your winners of the match are Brody King and Julia Hart. After the match, Mercedes Moné comes down to the ring to confront Julia Hart. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the Young Bucks teaming up with Okada versus Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Penta. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Garcia, Pac, and Penta keeping the pace of the match. Matt Jackson then mocks Garcia. Pac then hits a moonsault to the outside. Okada and Pac then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Okada hitting a tombstone pile driver on Garcia. Okada then hits a Rainmaker on Garcia as well, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are the Young Bucks and Okada. After the match, the Young Bucks and Okada then attack Daniel Garcia. Moving on from that, we go into our next segment of the night. It is Hook and Chris Jericho. Taz is in the ring. Jericho says that he wants to help Hook. He says he's helped other superstars to get them to where they want to be in AEW. Hook then says no, he does not want Jericho's help. Hook says he doesn't need Jericho. Jericho then mocks Taz. Jericho ends up pushing Taz in the middle of the ring, which pretty much pisses off Hook. Hook gets in the face to face with Jericho, and Hook tells Jericho to leave the ring. So it looks like the alliance between Chris Jericho and Hook is no longer happening. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Deonna Purrazzo versus Mariah May. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Purrazzo and May, with Purrazzo keeping the pace of the match. Purrazzo and Mariah May both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Deonna hitting a roll-up on Mariah May, pins her for the 3, and your winner of the match is Deonna Purrazzo. After the match, Toni Storm and Mariah May attack Purrazzo. Thunder Rosa comes down to the ring and attacks Mariah May and Toni Storm. Again, great match from Deonna Purrazzo. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Orange Cassidy versus Shane Taylor. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Cassidy and Taylor, with Orange hitting a strong Stun Dog Millionaire on Shane Taylor. Orange then hits an orange punch, 2 orange punches on Shane Taylor, which allows Orange Cassidy to pick up the victory. Lee Moriarty then attacks Orange Cassidy. Christopher Daniels comes down to try to save Orange Cassidy, but he's attacked by Trent Beretta. He stops pretty much anybody trying to save Orange Cassidy, and the match has ended. Hats off to Orange Cassidy for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of AEW's Dynamite. It is Will Ospreay versus Claudio Castagnoli. I thought this was a great match. Back and forth matchup between Ospreay and Claudio. Ospreay and Claudio both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Ospreay keeping the pace of the match. But Ospreay ultimately hits the finish on Claudio, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Will Ospreay. Hats off to Will Ospreay for getting the win in this matchup. Couple of things I want to talk about, man. Obviously, if you guys have paid attention to the podcast, I hope you guys are, I kind of been off the scene for a couple weeks, man, and there's a reason for that. It's not because of, AEW and the way AEW's been and stuff like that. So basically what's been going on is me and Mrs. Classic, we ended up moving. And the move has been, for lack of a better terms, hell. It's been very stressful with the move and everything else like that, and everything that we had to go through to get out of where we were at the time to where we are now. But we are both very happy. I'm also very happy that, we're no longer where we were living at the time. So that's the reason why I have not been putting up a lot of episodes as of late. And I do apologize to you guys, man. I know you guys, the ones that come down here and check out the podcast, I appreciate all you guys. I really do. It means the world to me. But that's the main reason why I've been off the scene as far as putting episodes out for the past couple weeks, is because it's packing and moving. You guys know, you guys have probably moved too. It can be stressful, man. It's stressful. It's a grade A pain in the ass. But we are back. We are going to start pumping out more episodes weekly from Dynamite, even possibly throwing back in Collision. And honestly, for what it's worth, trying to, kind of dabble in other content as far as, maybe ECW, a lot of the old stuff. I know I did a lot of stuff about WCW, but I also want to look into ECW and other companies too to possibly do reviews on those promotions as well. So definitely going to be putting out more uploads, hopefully in the next few weeks, than what it has been. With that being said, though, let's talk about AEW real quick. Now that we got past all the reasons why I haven't been here in the past couple of weeks, and again, I do apologize. I know you guys have been watching Dynamite, and I know some of you out there, maybe very few of you, but some of you out there probably want to know my opinion on the video that Tony Khan and AEW released of the All-In backstage issue between Jack Perry and CM Punk, and maybe some of you guys want to know my opinion on it. To be honest, at the end of the day, I told you guys when CM Punk first came back after the incident that happened with Matt and Nick Jackson at the AEW's Brawl Out at All Out. And I remember telling you guys countless times that if bringing CM Punk back was, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is CM Punk a household name? Yeah. CM Punk puts asses in seats. He does. And you can't deny what the guy has done in his career up to this point. But if you guys watched the video, obviously it was like a 40-second clip that they showed, 45-second clip that they showed on Dynamite. There's no audio or anything else like that. But there was a couple issues that I did have with it. I'm not understanding, with Matt and Nick Jackson wanting to showcase this footage from All In, what does it do for the Young Bucks? I mean, obviously they're trying to build up the storyline between FTR and obviously the Young Bucks leading up to Dynasty this weekend, which I guess I get it. But if you look at the video, FTR is not even a part of that video. They're not even there. Neither are the Bucks. So I don't know how this really correlates with FTR in this matchup with the Young Bucks at Dynasty, only because what? FTR are really good friends with Phil Brooks? I mean, it's just kind of cheesy, man. I mean, to be honest, I feel like it did more harm to the company than good. And if anybody really needed to have this video played, would be Jack Perry. Because I feel like at the end of the day, even looking at that video, Jack never touched CM Punk. He never struck CM Punk or anything else. Like, this was CM Punk, pretty much attacking Jack Perry. Now, I'm not saying Jack Perry's not also at fault. I'm sure there was words that were exchanged between Jack and Phil Brooks. I'm sure that happened. As far as Tony Khan saying that he was in fear for his life, that I don't know. If we're basing it off the clip that we all saw on Dynamite, I would say absolutely hell no. No. And to be honest with you, I know that, Tony Khan put out this statement that he had to fire CM Punk due to the fact that he was fearful of his life. I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. I think that's complete and utter bullshit. I think it's complete bullshit. I think due to what we saw on Dynamite, and there may be more footage that we haven't seen yet that might be more, serious than what they actually showed on Dynamite this past week. But if that's the only clip that we got, then I don't understand how Tony Khan was fearful for his life. And I think ultimately what happened is CM Punk didn't get fired. CM Punk quit. And for Tony Khan to save face, he ended up going on national television to tell everybody that he ended up firing CM Punk. because Tony Khan did not want to lose CM Punk. And I feel like looking at that footage, the punishment does not fit the crime of Jack Perry. And I think for Jack, I think it was a slap in the damn face, to be honest with you. And now that this footage was played, what happens with Jack next? Does Jack come back to AEW? And the reason why I'm saying that is there's a very good chance that we could possibly see Jack Perry, possibly. I'm not saying it's going to officially happen, but there's a possibility that Jack Perry could show up at Dynasty this Sunday and somehow be a part of this ladder match between the Young Bucks and FTR and have the Young Bucks go over and allow them to get the win by, getting involved in that ladder match between the Bucks and FTR. Sure. I can 100% see that, but the video just, it doesn't fit the crime of Jack Perry. It just doesn't. And I really, as a fan, I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic of them doing, this was August of last year. It was 8 months ago? Something like that. Why are we playing this shit now? There's no reason to play the video. Number one. Number two, it doesn't do anything for the Bucks. It doesn't do anything for FTR. Like I said, if it does anything, it's for Jack Perry to clear Jack's name in this incident between him and Phil Brooks. It does nothing for the Young Bucks. And it's cheap heat, to be honest with you, from the Young Bucks. And I just wasn't a big fan, man. The other thing I want to talk about, too, and I'm not really too thrilled on, is Mercedes Moné. I'm happy she's in AEW. I think Mercedes has a lot of potential in AEW and can put on some great matches in AEW, but Mercedes Moné needs to get in the ring and wrestle. This CEO and these promos, the shit's getting old. It's getting old, man. I'm sorry. I'm a Sasha Banks fan just like everybody else, but Tony Khan brought this woman in, and she has not done shit but cut promos for the past couple weeks. When are we going to get you in the ring? And then from what I understand, she's not going to be in the squared circle until Double or Nothing in May. This is ridiculous. Why is she not in the ring? And the only logical sense that makes me is that she's not 100% cleared yet to wrestle. She's not 100% cleared to wrestle. Because if you look at everybody else that they brought in, whether it be Will Ospreay, Okada, when they brought these names in, those guys, they instantly wrestled a week later. Mercedes hasn't done shit. And to be honest with you, you need to give her a match to even solidify her in the rankings to have her earn a title shot. And to me, I think that part is bullshit. She needs to have a match. You can't just milk this shit until May for Double or Nothing and allow her to have a match when she hasn't even competed in the damn ring yet for AEW Dynamite. It's ridiculous. I have all the respect in the world for Mercedes. I think Mercedes is a great athlete. She's a great wrestler. She's a great ambassador for women's wrestling. And she's done a hell of a lot in her career. But my issue with that is that how many times is she going to keep cutting promo after promo after promo where it doesn't lead to anything? Doesn't make sense, and we haven't seen her in the ring yet. And the way it's looking, we might not see her in the ring until late May. It's gonna get old, man. But with Dynamite, obviously, and a lot of people, obviously, there's tribalism, and I've mentioned this multiple times in the past before. There's tribalism between WWE and AEW, but I will say this, and this was brought to my attention last night when I was watching Dynamite, that WWE and AEW, they need each other, to be honest with you, especially the talent, because at the end of the day, if AEW is gone, all you have is WWE, number one. Number two, these talents have nowhere else to go. So if there's no AEW, no competitor, a lot of these superstars won't get paid the money that they're looking for because there's no other, there's no competitor. They're not going to go over to Japan to wrestle. So if, for example, Drew McIntyre's free agency is coming up here in the next 5 weeks, I believe. If he opts not to sign and AEW throws him more money, Drew McIntyre could possibly go over to AEW. And WWE and Nick Khan have to try to match that money that Tony Khan's willing to throw out to Drew McIntyre. I think it's great for the talent. And I told you guys before, man, I think competition breeds success. I really do. It's great for both parties, man. It's great for AEW. It's great for WWE. I know the Young Bucks also mentioned for Dynasty that there might be some surprises. I can pretty much tell you right now, I feel like I know one of the surprises that might end up showing up in Dynasty, and that is going to be Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns. From what I understand and from what I've heard, that they are very close on finalizing a deal to join All Elite Wrestling, which will be a great addition to AEW, especially when it pertains to the tag team division. So I'm all for that. And who knows, man, we might get a return of Jack Perry. He might show up on Dynasty. We might get a return of MJF, maybe. Maybe not in a wrestling capacity, but maybe he might show up. Who knows, man? Maybe a Kenny Omega. I mean, at this point, it's really up in the air. But the Young Bucks did tease a couple surprises for Dynasty this Sunday, which I'm definitely looking forward to on Sunday, man. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I will do a full review of Dynasty. Like I told you guys earlier, man, the video is going to come out a lot more. There'll be a lot more videos, a lot more content coming to the channel and to the podcast as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Might throw in some ECW stuff for you guys as well and give you my reviews on that as well. But if you guys do like this channel, man, don't, go over to YouTube, man, type in Stay Classic with, or at Stay Classic with Mr. Classic, man. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. I do put a lot more content over there as well. If you guys do like the podcast, it would mean a lot to me, and it'd be much appreciated. But Dynasty wasn't that bad last night, man. It wasn't a terrible show. I'm hoping they put in more storylines with AEW, and hopefully, Tony Khan can do that and facilitate that, because I feel like if they can continue really good storylines, then AEW is going to be great. And I have a lot of, how do I put this? I think AEW has a lot of potential. I really do. I think for the talent, for the viewers, I do. I think for the consumer, AEW has a lot to offer. And it's not like they don't have the talent, man. They have plenty of talent with Kenny Omega, MJF, Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes Moné, Moxley, Bryan Danielson. They have a abundance of talent on that roster that, can any night steal the show. So they just had to continue storylines moving forward with AEW. And I think all in all, if that happens, AEW is going to be around for quite a while, man. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.